was actually driving down to the lake yesterday morning. We was going to the fishing tournament for, I can't think of his name. Jake, yes. And as I was driving down the road, and that's my time me and the Lord really to start to get to communicate. These two little words come to me that the Lord spoke to my heart, and I want to share it with you. They're two very small words, but they pack a big punch. I'm going to tell you they do. And the Lord spoke to me. He said, "I am." And I thought about that, and I got to praying about that, and I said, "Lord, what are you talking about?" And we're actually going to start in Exodus, and we're going to end up in Revelation. Amen? Y'all ready for all this? We're going to start in Exodus, and we're going to end up in Revelations. But the Lord spoke these words. We're mainly going to be in the book of John, and He actually spoke them 7 times in the book of John. And I want to get through them all, and I want to explain to them all, because just as that amazing grace that we sung about, and that song about letting Jesus, letting people see Jesus in us, is kind of where I want to go with this morning. Because, so many times I get asked the questions, how can I do this? How can I do that? How can I get rid of this? Well, I want to try to explain that to you, because you can't get rid of things in your life that are binding you down until you realize who Jesus is, until you realize what His capability is. You won't ask Him to do anything. There's so many times that we have troubles and trials in our life, and what do? We just carry them with us and carry them with us. Why are we doing that when we had a Savior that said, "Bring it to me"? Come on. We do it because we don't understand a lot of times who Jesus is. And so these words were spoken, and He spoke them in Exodus. And that's where we're going to start at there. And it's in Exodus in chapter 3. And what you'll find here is God is calling Moses out. He is asking him to go down to Egypt and to lead the Israelite children out. He is speaking to Moses at this time. And what you find out is he's telling Moses he wants him to go. And Moses asked this very, very interesting question. It's actually in the scripture before that one. But he asked him, he says, "Who do I tell them sent me?" You see, the people of Israel didn't really know who Moses was. It's not like he was a king or something. So when God was telling him to go, he asked a question. He said, "Who do I tell them sent me?" And this is the response. In Exodus 3:14, it said, "And God said unto Moses, I am that I am. And He said, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am has sent me unto you." And I thought about that, and I thought, oh my. But when you get to dig into it, that I am, that is ordained, that it was given to God. It means that there is no beginning, there's no end. It's an eternal being. He said the one and only basically is what He's telling them. And what I thought was really unique about this, He said that this was almost a code to the Jews. That when He said, "I am," the Jews knew exactly who they was talking about. Because they knew their God was forever. They knew their God was capable. They knew He was an eternal being. Church, let me tell you something. When we say the words, "the great I am," how many of us know who we're talking about? And then we carry on. He said he went, he told them, he said, Tell him that I am is coming. Tell him the eternal one, the forever one. You know, the Bible teaches us that God is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. The same God that spoke to Moses right here that we just read about to lead them out is the same God that speaks in your heart today. He's all the same. When you're eternal, it's no beginning, no end. You're forever. He just keeps going and going. He doesn't have a start, and he'll never have an ending. But he said, I am is coming to you. And I thought, oh my, how interesting that Moses wanted to know who to tell the children of Israel that had seen him. And he simply said the words, I am. Okay, so I am is here. Who is he? Who is he? And what the Lord pressed on my heart when I was thinking about this is, if I go around this room to each and every person sitting here, and I ask you, who is Jesus to you? There would be however many different answers in this room right now. Because he's different to all of us, right? We would all have a different answer. But what I want to show you, let's go over into the book of John. And this is where I don't know how much of this we're going to get through. But we're going to go over in the book of John in chapter 6. And what we find in John chapter 6, and I don't want to get into a whole lot of background, but I kind of want you to know where I'm coming from on this. In John chapter 6, you'll find that Jesus he's just fed the 5,000. He went off to the wilderness to pray, and his disciples was talking to him. And they were talking about how God fed the Israelites when they were out in the wilderness from manna above, and how all that come from Moses. And Jesus makes a statement to them right here. And this is the start of the I Ams. This is the start of who Jesus can be in your life. And in John 6 and 35, it says, and Jesus said unto him, I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger, and he that believeth on me shall never thirst. He said, I am the bread of life. Why the bread of life? Because he is the sustaining of life. You know, you and I sitting here today, we would not have life if we didn't have Jesus. He is what feeds us. He is what keeps us going. He said that we'll never hunger. We'll never thirst again. When we put Jesus on our side, our appetites are satisfied. And I thought about, okay, so he sustains our life. And I want to ask you this question, and this is going to be just a little bit odd, but I want to ask you this question. You know, so many times in life we have choices to make, right? Amen? We have choices to make. We have to decide. And when he said, I am the bread of life, I thought about that. And I thought, you know, when we walk with Jesus, what does he ask us to do? Have you ever thought about this? Have you ever thought about what Jesus asked you to do? He asked you to be a kind, gentle, loving, good moral person. Amen? Amen. Am I right? Amen. That's all he asked us to do. What is so hard about that? Have you ever wondered if everyone in the world acted just like we did, would we have to lock our doors at night? He said, I am the bread of life. He said, I want you to show love to people. I want you to show kindness to people. I never have figured out what does it hurt to live life and be a good person. I never have figured that out. For some reason, people think it is such a disaster if you just try to live a good life, live a life with Jesus. And I thought, you know, let's go a step further here. Even if we didn't have this, even if we didn't have a home in glory, have you ever? I mean, what does it hurt to walk through life and let people love you. Have people that want to be around you because you are that good person. You are a morally fit person. You are a person that they will trust with their kids. You are a person that they will trust with the things in their life. You are just a good person. Have you ever thought about that? Why do we want to be out here and be some kind of hoodlum running around? What joys do we gain out of that? What joys does it gain that when somebody sees you walking down the road and they look at them and they say, stay away from that one? We've got people like that in our lives, amen? Every one of us do. Jesus said, I am the bread of life. He said, I am the sustainment of life. What is the sustainment of life? It is living a life with love, with peace, with gentle, with kindness. It is living a life that they can see Jesus in you. Amen. And he said, if you hunger and thirst after me, he said, you'll never hunger and thirst again. If you remember, he told the woman at the well, and she was talking about drawing water. And he said, if you knew who I was, what? You would ask water of me. Why? Because you will never thirst again. Because there will be living waters flowing out of you. There will be living waters that other people will see. Now, church, let me tell you something. When you understand that Jesus is the great I am, Jesus is the bread of life, He is the sustainment of life, He is what we live for. When you realize He is what people see in us. Jesus said, when you allow me to be that life, when you allow me to be that for you, He said, you won't hunger and thirst no more. Amen. You won't hunger and thirst no more. I only got 10 more to go. Y'all hang with me. That's the first one. We're going to skip over just a couple of chapters. Over to John chapter 8 and verse 12. And to give you just a bit of background, this is actually where the adulterous woman was about to be stoned. She was actually, they had her down, they was fixing to start throwing a stone, and what they were trying to do was they were trying to tempt Jesus into okaying all this. And this is the words that he come up with. In John chapter 8, verse 12, it said, then spake Jesus again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life in them. He said, I am the light of the world. I told you He was a sustaining light, to have a good moral life. He is the light of the world. Church, if you ever watched the news and seen the darkness of the things that the devil's got going out there, the directions they are trying to pull our children away, have you seen what is going on out there? Jesus said, I come to be a light and a light in this world. He said, I come to stand in the middle of that darkness. Have you ever shut the lights off somewhere? It doesn't take a whole lot of light. And you can see it no matter where you are. A light will always overcome the dark. He said, there's too many things going on in the world around you. The devil is running wicked. He is running wild right now. He is fighting to destroy marriages. He is fighting to destroy churches. He is pulling our children down. He is pulling everyone. He is seeking whom He may destroy. And it's all because they are walking in the darkness of sin. They are just like blind people wandering around and not sure where to go. Did you realize that a lost person actually has, and I'm going to say this, but a lost person really and truly has no meaning or tin in life. He said, I am the light of the world. You see, if you're lost, you don't have no hope in heaven. If you're lost this morning, you don't have no desires for goodness in your life. But he said, I want to be the light of the world. I want my love. I want my kindness. I want my affection. I want my people to be different than what this world is out here. I want my people. I want my churches to be a light that will shine around about everyone we come in contact with. That merely when you shake somebody's hand, they look at you and say something is different about you. There's a glow coming off of you. There's a shine coming out of you. There's a love in your heart. There's an affection in your heart.
Amen.
Because that's what keeps the world going. Could you imagine what it would be like if we didn't have light? If you want to get scientifically, a little scientifically into it, nothing, and I'll repeat this, nothing will survive without light. You see plants start dying because they gotta have light, so they start dying down. When the plants start dying, what happens? Well, the animals start losing food, and then they start dying off. It becomes a chain reaction. So without the light of Jesus, without your light that you shine out there, because he said, I am the light. He said, I'm the light of the world, and he that followeth after me. He said, you're not walking in the darkness of sin no more. You're not out there wandering around, not knowing where you're going anymore. You're not out there lost like a blind man anymore. He said, but I am the light. I have lit your path up. You know you're on the way to heaven. You're going to show God's love. You're going to show God's glory. You're going to show his goodness, his kindness in your life. And what are you going to do? You're going to have a home in glory for it.
Amen.
He said, we don't have to wander around aimlessly no more. But I'll turn the light on and show you. Jesus said, I am the light. Oh, we ought to be ashamed to know that we have the bread of life and the light of life living within us. We've got it on our side. We've got it all on our side. Oh, we got to move on. Flip on over to John chapter 10. Verse 9. Jesus speaks these words. He said, I am the door, and if any man enter in, he shall be saved and shall go in and out and find pasture. Now, he said, I am the door. Any of y'all got a door at home? Y'all got a door at home? Y'all use it? Most of the time? Every once in a while? Does anybody crawl in your window? Maybe that's a better way to ask it. Does anybody crawl in their windows?
You get locked out, you do.
But what if you caught somebody else crawling in your window? What if I was crawling in your window? That would not be a good day, would it? Why not? You see, Jesus said, I am the door. And when he said that, the Lord pressed this upon my heart. I got a door I use all the time. We go in and out, use it a lot. That's the way I'm supposed to get in the house. And I thought, well, you know, what would I do if I caught someone coming in the window? I'll be the last time they crawled in the window. And I thought about that, and I thought, oh my, this is why Jesus said, I am the door. It's because it is the only way you can get to heaven. There is no other way. Did you ever think about that? Y'all look around real quick. Y'all look around. How will you get in this building? Through the door. You can't crawl in that way, can you? You can, you good. But you're going to use a door. And I thought about what he said. He said, I am the door. And he said, by me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved. He shall go in and out and find pasture. If you go back a couple of verses, he talks about being the sheep door. Now what you'll find is a lot of the parables that Jesus spoke, a lot of the people back in these days were shepherds. They took care of the sheep. And what they would do is they would have a fence in. And basically what he is saying here, he said that there's green pastures that I've got my sheep put in. And I stand there in front of it and I guard it. I don't let things come in and out that ain't supposed to. He said the only way you can get into the green pasture is to go through the door. So church, let me tell you something. The only way you can get into heaven is through a man named Jesus. And through the bread of life, through the light of life, through the love of life. That is the only way you can get there. He teaches in many places. He said that if a man try to enter in any other way, he is considered a thief and a robber. I want to tell you right now, you can be the best moral person in the world. You can be the kindest, gentlest, most loving person out there. If Jesus is not in your heart, you have not accepted him as your Savior, you will not make it into heaven. He said, I am the door. There is no other way you can get there, but you go through me. There is no other way. There is no windows you can sneak in. There is no direction you can go. You have to come through me. And that's why he says, it's simple. I'm the door. I'm your way in. I'm your only way in. He said, I want to be your life. I want to be your light because I'm the only way you're going to get to heaven. Because you can't get there. Your own, what is it they call that? Your own recognizances. You can't get there. So when people try to tell you anything other than the name of Jesus, says they're going to make it to heaven, you can ask them, say, how you going to walk through the door if it ain't there?
That's right.
I told Jay to get up, walk through that door over there. He's not going very far, is he? Because there ain't no door over there.
Amen.
He said, I am the door. I am the only way. He said, and look at the way he said it. He said, if any man enter in. In other words, when you come to the door, when you walk up to the door, he said, he shall be saved. In other words, he's going to start putting the light of the world inside of you. He's going to start feeding you with the bread of life. He said, and he shall go in and out, and he will find the pasture. He will find the greenness. He will find the comfort that he needs. He said, if you will only come to me, let me save you. He didn't beat around the bush. He said, I am that I am. He said, I am eternal and everlasting. He said, but I want to be your bread of life. I want to be the light of life. I am the door. I am the only way that you are going to get into heaven. Because you can't enter in any other way. I don't care what people say. I don't care how long they've been in church. And I'm going to go a step further. I don't even care what the preacher says. The Word of God says He is the door and He is the only way in there.
Amen.
And that's what we have to stand for. He said, I am the only way in there. Now, we're going to get to the good stuff. Because not only is He the door and He is the only way to heaven. Not only is He the bread of life that's going to sustain and nurture our life. Not only is He the light for us to walk through. But I want you to look at this one right here. John chapter 10. Just a couple of verses down. And of course He was talking about the door and the sheep. But look what He said. He said, I am what? The good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for his sheep.
That's right.
You see in this whole passage, when we talk about the sheep, we're talking about you and I. When we talk about the door, we're talking about Jesus. Now He says, I am the good shepherd. He said that He gave His life for his sheep. And what's really funny, and I guess I should say this before I said the other, because I said you and I were sheep, didn't I? Well, sheep are actually kind of a dumb critter. Y'all don't take that wrong, please. But sheep are kind of they're not really a dumb critter, but they are kind of too. But the thing about a sheep is, and back in these days, they put shepherds that sat out and watched it. And what was really unique is that sheep would actually grow a bond to that shepherd. Y'all got dogs at home? Do any of you got a dog that'll listen to you and nobody else? You know why? That dog is loyal to you. He is loyal to his master. And what sheep will do is they will, and I bet you and that dog have a special relationship, don't y'all? Y'all can tell me, I understand. But what is unique about a sheep is they will grow a special relationship with their shepherd, to where anyone else can walk up there and even call them for feeding time and they will not come. They know the voice of the shepherd that watches over them. And it's really unique when you really dig into it. But it's really, really neat the way that the sheep follow that shepherd. And what the shepherd's job is he takes them. He takes them to feed. He takes them in and out of the green pasture. He takes them and he leads them to feeding. But not only that, but a sheep has actually no defensive mechanisms on them. If you look at them, it's not like they've got horns or anything like that. A sheep has no way of fighting back. And so it's part of the shepherd's job to be the protection of the sheep. That's what they're there for. When animals come after them, that's why they carry staff, is to keep dogs and stuff off of them. But sheep have no way of protecting themselves. They're kind of lost out there. If a sheep gets away from the herd, they will not find their way back.
That's right.
I thought that was interesting. So that when one gets away, the shepherd has to go get it and bring it back. That becomes the whole story of the 99 that the shepherd left to go get the one. That's why that's there. And what becomes really interesting in this is Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. In other words, I am above and beyond any shepherd that you have ever seen. I am above and more than what the shepherds, that normal shepherds do. Why? It's because he gives his life for the sheep. In other words, Jesus said, not only am I going to feed you, and not only am I going to protect you, not only am I going to guide you, I'm going to die for you. Oh, that ought to mean something right there. You need to stop and let that one soak in for just a moment. Because you see, he hung upon that old cross to save us, to be the door for you and I. He hung upon that old cross there because he loved us enough. He loved us enough. He wanted you to have the bread of life. He wanted you to have the light of life. He wanted you to know there was a door for you to walk through. He wanted you to know that he was a shepherd that would walk with you. He will talk with you. He will lead you. He will guide you. He will protect you from whatever may come along. Jesus said, I am.
Amen.
He said, I am eternal. I'm everlasting. In other words, he'll never leave you. He'll never forsake you. It doesn't matter what you're facing in this world. It doesn't matter what you're going through right now. It doesn't matter what's going on in your life. It doesn't matter who has hurt your feelings, who has done anything against you. It doesn't matter any of that. Jesus said, I am your good shepherd. He said, I have laid down my life so I can make a door for you to get to heaven. All I want you to do is be a light in this world and eat of the bread that I give you. Do you know who Jesus is this morning? Do you know who he is? Do you realize what he's done. Let me see where the next one is. Yeah, we're not going to go to that one. I think we're going to stop right there. I told you I've never done this before. We're going to carry on the rest of the I Ams next week. We're going to get into the good stuff. But I think about who Jesus is. I think about what he's done. I think about where he has brought us from. Where he has led us from. And I think about what he still wants to do for us. You see, he still wants to be that good shepherd for you today. Right now, right this minute. He still wants to be your good shepherd. You may not be carrying his light around. You may not be eating of the bread of life. But he said, I still want to be that door for you. And I still want to be your shepherd. I still want to lead you. I want to guide you. I want to save you. I want to protect you from everything that's around. So this morning, if you're fighting with the darkness in your life, if you're fighting with the sins in your life, if you're fighting with the things in your life, let the shepherd come and protect you. Let him put some light upon that darkness that's around you. This morning, if you are fighting with the things going on in this world around you, let Jesus come in and take care of it. He said, I am whatever you need me to be. I am. And if you need someone to help you with your finances, he's the best CPA you've ever seen. If you need someone to help you in your marriage, that is the best marriage counselor you can ever walk up to. If you need someone to help you with things, whatever it is, you will find no better one than him. You've got to take it to him. You see, he don't push it, he don't press it on nobody. But he stands there and says, come. Quit following that old devilish shepherd you've been following. The good shepherd wants you. Quit following him. Quit walking in the darkness when you're blind and lost. When you can stand up and walk in the light of the world. When you can stand up and be that light of the world. Quit wallowing around in all the sin and the pain and the agony that it causes in this old world. When you can stand up, put a smile on your face, and go to bed at night with peace on your heart. Because you're not worried about somebody thinking you've wronged them, not worried about somebody thinking you've done them wrong, that you've done something against them, because you've done it in the likeness of God.
Right.
Then you can go home, you can lay your head down at night, and you can say, thank you, Lord.
Amen.
You can say, thank you, Lord. Not God, protect me. Oh, I done something terrible. But you can say, thank you, Lord. It's been a good day. I got to spread your gospel. I got to talk to someone about Jesus. I got to invite someone to come out to the house of God. And people will see. People will notice. They'll see you standing out, and they'll see your ways. And I'm going to tell you, sometimes it ain't easy. Sometimes we have to walk away from those friends that just keep pulling us down and pulling us down. But we have to walk out into that light. And if you want to go through that door and you want to home in heaven, I'll tell you what, getting rid of what's supposed to be a friend down here so that I make it into heaven, it's not that big a deal. He said, I am the light. I want you to walk in the light. He said, I am the bread. I want to sustain your life. He said, I am the door. I want to save you. I want you to enter in. I want you to have the greener pastures. I want to give you heaven. And he said, I am the good shepherd. When you enter in through the door, what am I going to do? I'm going to walk with you. I'm going to talk with you. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to guide you. I'm going to show you the steps to take. I'm going to lead you. I'm going to take you where you need to go.
Amen.
Because he said, I am that I am.
That's right.
I am that I am. Would you stand with me? As this song begins to play, I just want to ask you this way. If you're fighting with something in your life this morning, let Jesus have it. If you're lost this morning, don't go home in the darkness no more. Go home with the light on your side. You don't have to fight. You don't have to go through this world like that. Give it to the great I am.
Amen.
Give it to the great I am. Because, there's so much more. There's so much more. Would you come this morning?